Go to Google and type Rathod's IAS. Then you can see our website, Rathod's IAS Academy. There you have to click on login or register in the blue color. So if you have not registered yet, you have to click on do not have account and fill the details. So once you have login, click on the courses. There you can see course list. And in this course list, you can see wide range of courses. Hi, this is Usha. Welcome to Rathod's IAS classes. Today in this lecture, we are going to see current affairs of 14th June 2022. So let's get started with our discussion and let us try to see today's quote. So today's quote is given by Steve Jobs. So he says that learn continually. So there's always one more thing to learn. So actually this quote is very relevant from a UPSC perspective. So because we need to learn current affairs daily. So this current affairs will be like a continual journey that we can see in our life even after clearing this UPSC. So he says learn continually. There's always one more thing to learn. And now let us try to see first topic. It is regarding global food prices. So actually if you see author of this article, it is by Ramesh. Okay, actually he is one of the member of Niti Aayog. Okay, so this topic is very important, and if you read this topic, then you will be getting much more insights regarding what are the reasons behind rising of global food prices apart from agriculture. So there are some factors which are present outside agriculture that is leading to increasing the price of this global food. Okay, so actually one important thing we need to relate here is regarding inflation. So one important dimension here is we need to know about inflation, and next we can also connect with this article with recent wheat export ban or export restrictions of wheat from India, and you have to know about what are the important factors that led to increasing of this global food prices. Okay, so these are three important dimensions that you need to remember regarding this topic. As you all know, not only in India but also throughout the world, many countries they are facing this problem of inflation. There is increase in the rise of price of goods and services in the market. So this concept is related to inflation. So what might be the reasons? That might be because of cost push inflation. So whenever the raw materials cost which mainly increased, means it is also an important factor. And next one is whenever there is increasing of demand. Okay, whenever there is increase in the demand in market, whenever there is decrease in the supply in the market, then also that leads to inflation. And next one is built-in inflation. So here in this article, we are going to talk about this cost push inflation, and next one is demand supply inflation. Okay, so cost push, we need to talk about fertilizer price. Okay, fertilizer price. So whenever there is increasing of this fertilizer price, so this fertilizer, it is one of the important input that we use to increase our food production, right? And because of climate change and because of decreasing of soil, okay, soil productivity, yes, automatically there will be decreasing of food productivity. So to increase this food productivity, now we are using high amount of fertilizer, that is nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Especially we are using urea. Okay, so whenever we started using this, we came up with this green revolution. So we started using of high yield variety seeds, and we started using of fertilizers, and we started focusing on irrigation methods, right? So since that time of using of this fertilizer during this 1960s, whenever we came up with this green revolution, so there is increased use of fertilizer. So nowadays without fertilizer we can't go for growing of these crops, okay, because there is low productivity that is mainly seen. What happened now? There is a global crisis of this fertilizer is also seen. So there is increasing of price of fertilizer. So that is related to this cost push inflation. And next one is there is increasing of demand because there is decreasing of supply, that is mainly seen because of this Russia-Ukraine crisis. So these two important things that we can relate it with this inflation. And next one is wheat export ban. So as you all know, in India we will go for growing of this wheat under this Rabi season. So it is a Rabi crop. Actually this year, because of some uncertain rains and because of some drought-like conditions, especially there is somewhat decreasing of this Rabi production of this wheat. So here we need to focus on our domestic consumption, that is the consumption of this wheat that will be done by our Indians who are present in India. Okay, And because of some uncertainties in the global politics, yes, we came up with this wheat exports ban. And students, we need to know about even other factors which are responsible for increasing of this prices of food in the market. So this is some introduction and these are some basics regarding this topic. And now let us try to see in detail regarding this topic. So please be focused, and you can get this type of questions even in your interview and in your mains questions. So here, as you all know, we are facing one uncertainty in market, that is volatility of prices of food in the market. So there is a global food prices increase that is mainly seen, and year by year we are seeing there is increased volatility of price of food in the market. So whenever there is increasing of price of food in the market, means what happens, it will be mainly affecting the nutrition of number of people, and that will lead to increasing of hunger levels, increasing of malnutrition levels. So to address all these problems, yes, government need to come up with a policy. So government will come up with some changes in the trade and as well as domestic policies. Okay, so mainly to address that periodic price shocks in the market. So here at global level and at the national level, so we can come up with some number of trade policies and as well as domestic policies. So trade policies especially at the global levels and domestic policies at the national levels, state levels, etc. And the crisis that can manage from the food shortage, trade disruptions, and even rise and spread of hunger and rise and spread of poverty levels, okay, etc. So government will come up with number of policies, trade policies, and as well as some domestic policies mainly to address this problem. So if we are talking about history of this food price increase crisis, yes, we need to know about history. Like, so in how many years we faced this rise of the prices, or this at present only we are facing this food price, okay, food price rise. So we need to know, right? So here historically we also faced this problem of a global food price increase. So historical data on this food price, which mainly compiled by which organization? International agency. For example, we have Food and Agriculture Organization FAO, and we have United Nations, we have World Bank, and we have IMF. So they will come up with some estimates regarding this food prices. So you have to remember these organizations for sure. And we came up with adoption of this green revolution technology in 1960s, and especially to overcome this food price crisis and to increase agriculture production. So the first shock we experienced in India in year 1973 to 1976. So at that time here the food price had been almost doubled. Okay, almost double. And later on, yes, by 2022, okay, so by 2002, so we saw that there is decreasing of this price. Okay, and later on again the price crisis which mainly seen in 2008, and that food price crisis which mainly intensified by this 2011. So this is the second. And now again after this 2011, again the price shock has been softening, okay, after 2014. And what happened again now from 2015 to 2019, there is severe price rise that is seen in the market. Okay, so in the 3 years, that is from 1973 to 1976, 2007 to 2012, and at present, okay, at the end of this 2022 till now, we are seeing high rate of inflation in our Indian economy. So actually this food price rise which has mainly happened not because of only cause of agriculture production, but there are other factors which also involved. Okay, so here we need to know about what are those other factors. So the recent spike of this food prices which mainly triggered by the first important reason we can talk about here is COVID-19. So because of this COVID-19 which led to nationwide lockdowns and international flights had been stalled. So here what happened, there is no proper supply of raw materials. Okay, so there are supply chain disruptions due to this COVID-19. So this mainly aggravated. So this even aggravated by this Russia-Ukraine war. And the current food price rise which is mainly seen in vegetable oil. So especially the supply of the sunflower oil from this Russia, Ukraine had been decreased, and because of this we can see there is a black marketing of this sunflower oil which is mainly seen. And not only this, but we can also see some food adulteration in this oils as well. Okay, so here we can see some substandard or some oil which is mixed with other oils that is coming into the market. So in this way we can see consumers are mainly affected. So here first one is there is increasing of vegetable oils, and later on it mainly expanded to other products, and even there is increasing of price of cereals. So the trade patterns of these commodities which mainly shows that around 38% of vegetable oil which mainly produced and consumed is globally traded. So about 38% of vegetable oil produced and consumed is globally traded. So not only this Russia-Ukraine crisis, even from Indonesia, so whatever the palm oil that we used to import, so here Indonesia also decreased this palm oil exports. So especially countries which mainly dependent on this Indonesian palm oil, they also had been affected a lot. And next one is, if you're talking in case of especially wheat, so here number of countries, especially European countries, they depend on this Russia and Ukraine for their wheat imports. But because of this war, there is decreased exports of wheat from this Russia and Ukraine. So earlier, those countries which depend on this Russia and Ukraine for their wheat imports, they need to search for the new markets. And even trade dependence of the maize, it is like 16%. And another factor that I can see that led to increase in the price of this food price in the market here is we are mainly diverting our food for our biofuel needs. So this is the second important reason. So we are mainly focusing on this biofuel, and recent India also said that we need to achieve the target of 20% of ethanol blending in petrol. Okay, so whenever we are diverting our food towards this biofuel, what happened? There will be supply of the food in the market will be decreased, and whenever there is demand which may increase, means automatically that will lead to inflation. So we are talking about the proportion of vegetable oil which mainly used for this biofuel which mainly increased from 1% in 2003 to 11% in 2011, and further it increased to 15% in 2021. And now we are mainly focusing on target of 20% of ethanol blending, and the target here is 2030. And one more important dimension we can see here is, yes, whenever we are focusing on this biofuel, it is good, because in international level there is increasing of this crude oil price which is mainly seen. So whenever crude oil price is increased, it means the price for the petrol and diesel will be automatically increased. So whenever there is increasing of this petrol and diesel prices, automatically transportation cost will be increased. So whenever this transportation cost is increased, the price of the goods and services will be increased. Yes, on one side, whenever we are focusing on this renewable energy, that is biofuel, on another side we can decrease this crude oil imports and we can save our forex reserves. But on other side, if we are diverting our food towards this biofuels, means what happened? There will be decrease in the supply of this food in the market. So that will also lead to inflation. So we need to have a balanced approach here. Okay, so what we need? We need to have a balanced approach. Okay, and the second reason for the use of this food crops for the biofuel is we are mainly focusing on renewable energy resources. So we need to decrease this greenhouse gas emissions. As you all know, recent climate action report said that. So even though what are the measures we are going to take? So there might be increase of 2.6 degrees of temperature by 2100 year. Okay, so here we need to also focus on this climate change, because climate change will have further impacts on agriculture. So whenever there is a drought, whenever there is decreasing of soil productivity, automatically it will have some negative on food productivity, right? And next one here is food prices are also expected to go up in the current and as well as next harvest season, because now again one more problem that came into picture. Here is the price of fertilizer. Price of fertilizer and even other agrochemicals, the chemicals which mainly used in our agriculture. For example, insecticide. herbicides, etc. So those prices also have been increased. And if you see the international price of this fertilizer, which increased by 150 times, 50%. Okay, so because of this here, there might be increasing of food prices further in the coming up season because of increasing of fertilizer price. And what are the implications for India and what are the implications for the other countries in the globe? So if you are talking about implications for India, so export and import of this agriculture sector, which mainly constitute about 30% of our gross value added in agriculture, that is according to data of 2020 to 2024. So we need to increase the global price on domestic prices is inevitable. So some transmission of increasing of this global price on this domestic price is inevitable. And next one is transmission of this global prices to domestic market, that can be mainly moderated to trade policy. So government came up with some trade policy and as well as some instruments such that we can decrease the prices. And next one here is we need to have a balance of interest of producers and as well as consumers. And here government need to take some steps mainly regarding to maintain the price stability or to decrease this excessive volatility in the international prices of these goods. And next one is when international prices go low, so India need to check cheap imports from the other countries. So whenever international price had been high means, so India need to export here. So in this way here we can ensure adequate availability and as well as reasonable food prices for domestic consumers. Okay, so we need to finally focus on price stability in the market. So if we are talking about what will be the global impact, so as you all know, we came up with this green revolution in 1960s, and because of this green revolution in India, that led to increasing of food production. Okay, food production in India. So as a stem of this green revolution technology, which mainly slowed down the start of this 21st century, because of this we can see there is increasing of this food prices in the real terms. So here we need to focus on this resilience of the food sector and we need to focus on price stability as well. Okay, so we need to check the food prices rising at a very much faster rate, and we need to focus on research and development in this agriculture such that we can increase the food productivity, and there is also need to strengthen, rejuvenate the global agri research system under this consultative group of international agriculture research. And even if you're talking about our biofuels protocols, so here this biofuel protocol also led to global food crisis for the second time in the last 15 years. So we need to have a good balance between them. And the last three food price crises, they are primarily caused due to an increasing energy prices and the disruptions in the movement of food across the borders. And factors which are mainly related to this climate change, they are going to be an additional source of supply shocks. So therefore, now what is the need? Global community, they need to plan to have a good global buffer stock of food, and we need to ensure there is a reasonable price stability in the market, and we need to coordinate with the different stakeholders who are involved in a timely action for the larger public good. So this is about this topic. And now let us try to see next topic. It is regarding influenza pandemic and nations within a nation. So this article which is mainly talking about disease outbreaks, how it affects business, environment and policy in the countries. So this topic is important from your GS paper 2 under governance point of view. So if you see this article, you might be knowing about number of points that I am going to discuss in this article, but please don't get bored because it is my duty to teach everything in a very great detail, and I want to bring you a conceptual clarity in you. So even though the things I am explaining you, whatever you know, so please try to listen them completely so that it will be helpful for your long-term memory also. So here now there are a number of questions that mainly seen in the TV headlines like business and public policy. So business and public policy, they are very complex questions that mainly focus on how to save the lives of people. So if you're talking about developed countries and less developed regions, so it is a comparison between how companies, especially pharmaceutical companies, they are mainly working. So many governments around the world, they mainly struggle to address problems of inequity in access to the life-saving products such as vaccines. So for this COVID-19, yes, in this today's paper also in the page number 1, there is one article, right? So COVID-19 had not been over, so please focus on this vaccination. So we need to go for 2 doses of this vaccination and even booster dose if it is required, especially for the people who are very much vulnerable to this COVID-19. So many governments across the world, they mainly struggle to address the problems of inequity in access to the life-saving products. As you all know, especially developed countries like America, UK, they went for 2 doses of the vaccines and even booster dose. But some less developed nations of Africa, they didn't get even the 1 dose of this COVID-19 vaccine. So in this way, we can say that there is a large rate of inequity in access of this vaccines which is mainly seen. And this struggle which has been even more complex when there is a sudden increasing of demand for such life-saving products. So suddenly, whenever there is increase in demand from almost all the countries in the world for the vaccines to save the lives of the people, then what happened? So the struggle becomes very complex when there is a sudden increase in the demand. So when there is sudden increase in the demand for these life-saving products, like for example vaccines, so how do firms across the countries, okay, so especially from these more developed regions within a nation, how they react? So for answering this types of questions, yes, we need to understand the source of competitiveness, okay, competitive advantage under the normal condition. So the product demand in central, it is to be the development of capabilities and resources of firms as its incentives the engagement in the very high fixed cost research and development activities. Okay, so here we have to focus on the demand. Demand is very important. So based on the demand only, we can see the supply of goods and services in the market. So whenever there is increase in the demand and supply is less, means what happened? That will lead to inflation, right? So whenever there is a high demand and whenever there is a less supply, means we can also see inequity in the society, right? So here product demand is one of the central for the development of capabilities and resources of the firms. For example, if there is any manufacturing unit which mainly produces 10 units of vaccines, let us take this hypothetical example. But here demand is 100 vaccines we need. So that what happened, that company will be going for increasing of their production. They will be coming with new technology like that. So here at that time we need to provide some incentives. Incentives will be very important, and here we need to focus on this research and development activities as well to provide this life-saving products such as vaccines to all. So especially if we are talking about this lower disposable income countries, so they are mainly facing some bias, okay, because they do not have proper technology, they do not have proper setups. They will be mainly depending on these developed countries for their imports. And next one is large foreign multinational enterprises, that is MNEs. They are originating from the developed economies and they can still generate additional economic returns by selling their products. And if you are talking about outbreaks and impact, so sudden disease outbreaks, they can bring some unanticipated changes in the business environment. So in business environment here, whenever there is a sudden disease outbreak will be there, means that will be having some impact on the business environment, because that will have an ability to increase, to give rise to spatial heterogeneity, okay, spatial heterogeneity in business opportunities. Yes, for domestic firms and for MNEs, multinational enterprises, there is no same opportunity will be there, because these domestic firms, they might be having lack of infrastructure, they do not have proper technology and the production unit is very less. But here multinational enterprises, they will be having good updated technology and they will be having a larger production units as well. So in this way here, there is no straightforward to predict how these different kinds of firms, they will strategically respond to those situations. So especially these MNEs, multinational enterprises, they will be in a better position and they will be having some advantage over this domestic. On the other hand, these MNEs, they may face greater opportunity cost in serving these underdeveloped regions under a condition, okay, under a condition where there is a spike in this global demand. So whenever there is a global demand which is mainly increasing, these MNEs, multinational enterprises, they mainly having some greater opportunity cost than compared to this domestic, okay. And if you are talking about what are the defining factors, So here recent study which mainly found that direct cost and as well as opportunity cost, they are two defining features that will lead to heterogeneity across the world. And the findings which mainly saw that policymakers across the several developing countries, they mainly face that the complex challenge of attracting foreign firms to supply vaccines while also seeking the self-sufficiency in the domestic vaccine production. And finally, we need to focus on even encouraging the capacity development of domestic firms in the markets with the positive externalities. Okay, so this is about this topic. And now let us try to see next topic. It is regarding Consumer Protection Act. So this article says that upholding the right to repair. So here we are mainly focusing on what is this Consumer Protection Act. So this will be important from our polity point of view, which mainly comes in the GS paper 2. And this Consumer Protection Act is very important. Recently in 2021 new rules were released. Okay, so because of this is in news. So now let us try to see the provisions of this Consumer Protection Act directly. So this Consumer Protection Act which mainly talks about product liability. So what is this product liability? So whenever a manufacturer or a product service provider, so whenever they are selling any product, then at that time he is responsible to compensate for any injury or any damage which mainly caused to that product which became defective or deficiency in services. And it also talks about three-tier quasi-judicial mechanism. Okay, so this act which mainly promulgates three-tier judicial mechanism, quasi-judicial mechanism, and mainly focusing on redressal of consumer disputes. That is like at the national level, at the state level, and as well as at the district level. And next one is it also focuses on this time-bound disposal of complaint. So this act which mainly stipulates that every complaint shall be disposed of as expeditiously as possible, and they can resolve this issue with a period of 3 years or 3 months of time. So within 3 months of time, okay, within this 3 months of date of notice by the opposite party, they need to go for resolving of this issue. And next one is filing complaints electronically. So this act which also provides consumers the option that to provide option of filing complaints electronically, and will also facilitate in filling their complaint online. And there is one portal, that is the e-Dakil portal. And next one is mediation route. So the act which also includes reference of consumer disputes to mediation with consent of both parties. And if you are talking about the provision of this Consumer Protection Act of 1986 and 2019, there were some changes. So earlier there is no regulator, but now we have Central Consumer Protection Authority that will be formed under this act. And if you are talking about consumer court, so earlier complaint must be filed in the consumer court where sellers once are located. But here at present, complaint can be filed in a consumer court where complainant resides or works. And as well as product liability, so there was no provision of this product liability earlier, and now yes, we have this product liability. And this one is pecuniary jurisdiction. So here up to 20 lakh rupees and 20 lakh to 1 crore, and at the national level it is about 1 crore rupees, that is the punishment will be there. And now at the district level up to 1 crore, and the state level 1 crore to 10 crores, and national levels about 10 crore rupees. And this one is e-commerce. So regarding this e-commerce, there is no provision earlier, but now all rules or direct selling extended to this e-commerce. And next one is mediation cells. So there is no legal provision regarding this mediation cells in this old, okay, and now we have this court can refer the settlement through mediation. Okay, so mediation is one of the alternate dispute resolution mechanism. So if you are talking about some facts regarding, so what is the mechanism of protection of this consumer rights? So currently here Consumer Protection Act of 2019, which mainly promulgates three-tier quasi-judicial mechanism at the national level, state level, and as well as at the district level. Okay, and next one is, so this act which also stipulates the pecuniary jurisdiction of each tier of consumer commission. And as well as the Consumer Protection Act of 2019, which even also provides consumers for, they will be providing with an option that they can go for filing of their complaint electronically. that mainly done through this e-Dakhil portal, and it also provides faster and as well as amicable mode of settling of these consumer disputes. So I want to give you one main question regarding this topic, that is the new Consumer Protection Act has came into operation replacing the earlier law, so which was over 3 decades old. So what are the fundamental differences between the two acts, and will the new law serve the expectations of this consumer better than this predecessor? So this table I discussed, right? So this table is about first part of question. Try to write the answer for this question, and answer should not be more than 200 words. So now let us try to say next topic. Title says retail inflation eases to 7.04%. So this article which is mainly focusing on retail inflation. So this article is important from your GS paper 3 under economy point of view. So now let us try to discuss this topic in a great detail. So if you see context, it mainly says that India's retail inflation which mainly eased marginally to 7.04% in May from the nearly 8-year high of 7.79% in April. So in April month, retail inflation was like 7.79%, and now in May it is like 7.04. So we can say a slight ease of this retail inflation that is seen in the market. So if you are talking about details, it mainly says that inflation which mainly faced by the rural consumers also fell to 7.04% in May. Actually in April, so it was like 8.38%, and now it mainly eased to 7.04%. Okay, but for the households in urban areas, the pace of price rise was virtually flat month on month. Okay, so it was like 7.09% in April, and it is like 7.08% in May. So we can't see much difference in the urban people like us, and especially in the rural areas, yes, there is a somewhat relief that they can experience. And next one is food price inflation, which had hit a 17th month high of 8.31% in April, and it mainly eased a little to 7.97% in May. Okay, and the next one is, if you're talking about this consumer food price index, which mainly surged for urban India to 8.2% in May. So these are some important things. And if you see why there is a inflation that is seen in the market, because of tomato prices, it is like 80 to 100 rupees in the market. Especially in Hyderabad, it is like 85, sometimes 90, sometimes 100 rupees in this last 15 days. And along with hardening of tomato prices, even the price of vegetables is very high. And if you want to take any vegetable 1 kg, it will be like 80 rupees to 120 rupees per kg. And even price of wheat and as well as rice also had been climbed, and even price of cereals also had been increased. So if we're talking about some facts regarding this consumer price index, so this consumer price index, which mainly measures the price changes in the market regarding retailer. Okay, and actually this index which may be released by National Statistical Office NSO, and this CPI which mainly calculates the price of commodities and services such as food, medical care, education, electronics, etc. So especially the students who are preparing only current affairs, you are mainly leaving these basic facts. So these basic facts will become very important from your prelims. And if you have gone through your this year prelims, yes, they gave some background details. Okay, so please be ensured that you are not leaving anything. So you have to know about the basic facts also. So CPI has several subgroupings, including the food and beverages, fuel and light, housing, clothing, bedding and footwear. Actually, we have these 4 types of CPI, that is CPI for industrial workers, the IW, and agricultural laborers, AL, rural laborers, RL, and as well as combined. So the first 3 are mainly compiled by this Labor Bureau. Actually, there is one question which mainly came in 2022 prelims regarding this Labor Bureau. And this one is the CPI combined. It is mainly compiled by this NSO, which mainly comes under Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, simply MOSPI. And next topic is regarding fortified rice. So center to boost supply of this fortified rice. So what is a fortified rice? So what is the meaning of fortification? fortification is nothing but here we are adding some extra minerals, vitamins to the food. That is called as fortification of food. So in this rice we are mainly going for adding vitamin D, vitamin A, like that. So this article is important from your GS paper 2 under society, even hunger, like that. So here why we need to talk about this fortified rice, because in India we can see there is a high rate of malnutrition and high rates of anemia, and even there is low level of nutrition that is seen in the women and even children, especially whenever the poverty and hunger is increasing. So this problem will be going to worsen. So actually in India we have a program of providing subsidized food grains for people who are below poverty line, okay, under subsidized prices. So under this scheme here, government which is mainly planning to supply fortified rice to address the challenges of anemia, malnutrition, etc. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So Union Food and Public Distribution Secretary mainly said that Center had started the second phase of distribution of fortified rice from April 1st. From April 1st onwards, here Central mainly going to start the second phase of distribution of this fortified rice, and a total of 90 districts had been covered, and here Center it is mainly targeting 21 districts. It is a thing which mainly said by the ministry. So here if you see some details, the past scheme of our Prime Minister, he started in October 2021 to supply food that is fortified rice to the beneficiaries under this ICDS, that is Integrated Child Development Scheme, and even Pradhan Mantri Poshan Shakti Nirman or PM Poshan scheme. So here especially regarding this fortified rice, there are number of misconception, and even there are some objections which are mainly seen from this nutritions. Okay, so here we need to know about that issues as well. So here the ministry which mainly said that Food Corporation of India, which had already procured about 90 lakh tons of fortified rice, and about 2.2 lakh tons had been supplied to 90 districts in 16 states. So if you are talking about what is the background of this fortified rice, okay, why we are mainly going for distributing of this fortified rice. So Minister of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, they informed this Rajya Sabha that government approved centrally sponsored pilot scheme on this fortification of rice and its distribution under this public distribution system. Under this public distribution system, they are mainly focusing on this centrally sponsored pilot scheme of fortification of rice, and it is for the period of 3 years in the beginning. So pilot project means we are mainly going for trial and error method. That's it. Okay, don't worry about what is this pilot project. Pilot project is nothing but here government which is mainly implementing that so and so scheme in a trial and error method, whether it works or not. So they will be seeing the results and analyzing the results. So here actually why we need to go for this supplying of this fortified rice. So mainly we are facing the problems like anemia, micronutrient deficiency, malnutrition in the country. So in this context, Government of India which mainly approved this scheme for a period of 3 years in 2019 to 20, and under this scheme FCI, Food Corporation of India, which has been asked to come up with a comprehensive plan for procurement and distribution of this fortified rice. Okay, and next one is in the midday meal scheme, we are also going to provide this under ICDS scheme, okay, under this PM Poshan scheme. So if you are talking about what are the objectives of this scheme, so objectives are, the first one is distribution of this fortified rice, that mainly done through this PDS system, public distribution system, and they are mainly focusing on especially one district per state in the initial phase, that is in the pilot phase. They are mainly focusing on one district per state, and they will be analyzing the how it mainly affected on this anemia, malnutrition, micronutrient deficiencies, etc. And they are also talking about coverage of this National Security Act beneficiaries. Under this PDS, they will be going to get this fortified rice in selected districts. And they are also focusing on facilitating across learning and sharing of best practices among the states, union territories, etc. And they are mainly going for evaluation of provisions, coverage and utilization of fortified rice by target population, etc. And even they are focusing on efficiency, effectiveness of consumption of this fortified rice and reducing the targeted micronutrient deficiencies also. And now let us try to say next topic. It is regarding nuclear arsenal. So recently SIPRI came up with this report of India's expansion of this nuclear arsenals. So this topic is important from your GS paper 300 defense. So actually here you need to focus on, yes, whether we are improving or expanding or not, and we have to see our nearby countries, neighboring countries like Pakistan and China, because we are having threat from this Pakistan and China. And here we need to know some basic facts regarding this SIPRI. So from this SIPRI you can expect some basic facts in your prelims. So now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. So context here is India had 160 nuclear warheads. India had 160 nuclear warheads as of data which is according to this January 2022. And this report says that yes, India is going to expand its nuclear arsenals. It is according to this SIPRI report. What is this SIPRI? That is Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. It is a defense think tank. So if you see details, it mainly says that Pakistan also appears to be expanding its nuclear arsenal. So recently one article we saw that here defense expenditure of this Pakistan which had been increased in this year. And China is in the middle of its substantial expansion of its nuclear weapon arsenal, and recent satellite images which mainly indicates that it is having about more than 300 new missile silos. And China had 350 nuclear warheads in the country, and this is the data in January 2021 to 2022. Okay, so this is about the SIPRI report. And India's nuclear stockpile which had been increased from 156 in January 2021 to 160, that is only just 4. Okay, so India and Pakistan, they appear to be expanding their nuclear arsenals, and both countries, they introduced and continue to develop new types of nuclear delivery system in 2021. Okay, so these are some important details that are given in this article. And now let us try to see some facts regarding this SIPRI. So what is this SIPRI actually? So this SIPRI, it is nothing but Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. So actually it is independent international institute. It is independent. So this is one important thing. That is independent international institute. And actually this institute which mainly dedicated to research into conflict, armaments, arms control and even disarmament. So these are some important areas which mainly focused. Actually this SIPRI which mainly established in 1966 at Stockholm. And this SIPRI which mainly provides data analysis and recommendations which are mainly based on open sources to policy makers, researchers, media and interested public. So this is about in detail regarding this topic. And now let us try to see yesterday's questions. The first one is regarding constitutional bodies. So which of the following are constitutional bodies? The first one is Joint State Public Service Commission. Next one is Special Officer for Linguistic Minorities, Attorney General and Solicitor General. So Solicitor General and Additional Solicitor General, they are not comes under our constitutional bodies. In prelims 2022, there was one question regarding this Solicitor General, whether he will participate in the proceedings of the Parliament or not. Okay, actually he is not a constitutional body. So we can eliminate this fourth option, and the correct option will be 2 and 3. So Attorney General and Special Officer for this linguistic minorities, they are constitutional bodies. And next question is regarding 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1992 gave this constitutional status for Panchayat Raj institutions and added a new part and new schedule to our Indian Constitution. That is Part 9 and 11th schedule of Indian Constitution. So answer 1 is correct option. And today's questions are the first one is regarding National Commission for SCs, and second question is regarding 74th Constitutional Amendment Act. Okay. So these are the questions of today. Try to read the statements and give me the correct option in the comment box. So now let us try to see today's Hindu newspaper PDF. So before that, I want to make a small announcement. We in Rathod size, we came up with this mains answer writing practice course. So this course, it is for 1 year. So we are mainly going to give you weekly targets, okay, weekly syllabus that you need to cover in that so and so week. And this syllabus, it is a very neatly designed that within 1 year you are going to complete GS1, GS2, GS3 and GS4 along with your essay and as well as case study practice. So this course is absolutely beneficial. So at 10 o'clock every day we are going to give you one question based on that weekly targets, and on Sunday we will be having essay or case study practice. And one more thing here is we are also going to give you model answer. There will be evaluation of your answer and one-to-one mentorship. And the cost of this entire course of 1 year, it is just 7,200 rupees. And already the course had been started yesterday. So the registrations are going on, admissions are going on. So admissions will be taken, okay, till just 20th June itself. So please be fast, and if you want to join, so please do the registrations. And if you have any queries, so please call me on this number 8074765513, and this is also the WhatsApp number, and you can also text me on WhatsApp if you have any queries. And if you want to get the schedule of this mains answer writing practice, you can see the link is given in description box, and you can download the PDF so that you will be getting some idea. And apart from that, we also launched a foundation course for UPSC Civil Service Examination of 2023 and 2024. So this course is very useful, and we are mainly focusing on conceptual clarity, and you can see our consistency in our Hindu analysis, okay. And if you have belief in us, so you can take this course. It is a very useful, and we are focusing on conceptual clarity, and each and every faculty who are discussing the topics are well trained faculty and expert faculty. Okay, so the details of this foundational course are given in description box, and you can contact us on the number which is given, okay. And if you want to watch the demo videos, you can visit our website Rathod Science Academy, and there you can watch the 3 demo videos in each and every module, okay. So if you want to get the PDF of this class, you can join the Telegram channel, link is given in description box. And now let us try to see today's Hindu PDF. So I will be showing the important articles that you have to refer apart from this topics I took in the discussion. So the first topic, it is regarding retail inflation. I discussed this topic. And if you move forward, there is one article regarding vaccinate more, center tells states. So COVID-19 is not yet over, okay. So there is increasing of cases that is seen in some states. So here we need to focus on this vaccination. So this is the thing which mainly said by Health Minister. And there is nothing much important in this city page, and in this page number 3 also I didn't find any article which is much relevant. And you can directly see this article, okay, that article which is seen in the page number 5, okay. So here you can see monsoon enter parts of Telangana, says IMD. So here you need to know about facts regarding this IMD, that is India Meteorological Department. So already I discussed this topic number of times, and now this is time of revision. And one topic here is snapping footwear to prevent complications, especially the people who are suffering from this diabetes. If they are having any injury, means it will take a lot of time, especially to recover from that injury. So these are some footwear which mainly developed by researchers, especially for the persons with the disabilities, and these are mainly developed by Department of Mechanical Engineering, Indian Institute of Science. So there are some advantages of this footwear here is that will be helpful for maintaining well balanced, and next one is enabling faster healing of injured region as well, and will also prevent the injuries from arising in other areas of the feet. Okay, it will be helpful for the people who are mainly suffering from this diabetic peripheral neuropathy, okay, so who face some nerve damage which mainly caused by diabetes. And if you see this editorial page, I almost covered all the articles which are important from our UPSC point of view. So there is one article that is regarding environmental governance. So please refer this article once, because the author of this article is MP who is the chairman of a parliamentary standing committee. And there is one data point, it is regarding steady recovery in employment. You can refer this article. It is regarding report of CMIE, Center for Monitoring India Economy. And the next one is, so this topic which mainly talks about what India's own, which mainly talks about vehicle density in India, household goods. Okay, you can easily go through this infographics. And if you move forward in this news page, in the page number 10, you can see BSF exchanges fire with armed men. So here you need to know about some facts regarding this BSF, and you have to know about Central Paramilitary Forces. And next one is Central urged to extend this state GST compensation So as you all know that GST compensation which will be going to be ended by this June 2022, and now the states are in confusion that whether central is going to expand this or not, and many states are urging to expand this GST compensation. And next topic, it is regarding Haryana gets notice over polluted water. So recently a National Human Rights Commission issued a notice for this Haryana government to take some effective steps to address this groundwater contamination, especially in this Bandwadi land hill in Gurugram. Okay, so you need to know about this CPCB, you have to know about this National Human Rights Commission and what will be impact of this pollution of water. So these are some dimensions that you need to think about and you need to refer about. And in this newspaper, in this page number 12, I discussed about this fortified rice and I discussed about this CIPRI report. And there is one article regarding new norms for the sentence remission. So actually you know that this year independence, which mainly marks about 75th year of independence. So here Union Home Ministry, which mainly issued a new set of guidelines to the states and union territories on the grant of special remission to the prisoners. So this is also an important topic. And this one is Archaeology Board to meet after 8 years. So here ASI, that is Archaeologist Survey of India, which mainly said that Central Advisory Board of Archaeology, which mainly expected to meet on this June 14th. Okay, so nearly 8 years after the last meeting. So you need to know about importance of this Archaeological Survey of India and recent studies which mainly done. And the world page, there is one article regarding this Rohingyas to mark 5 years in camps. So actually this event of this Rohingyas, actually in Myanmar, in Rakhine state. So what happened? So there was some clash between this Rohingyas and military, and later on that fled of this Rohingyas out of this Rakhine state, which mainly happened, and they mainly had some camps out of this Rakhine. Especially they mainly start living in some islands and nearby Bangladesh, and even some people they entered India. So here you need to know about who are these Rohingyas and what are the Rohingya cases. And next in the business page, in the 14th page, you can see one article that is Rupee weakens past 78, stock slides eyeing Fed rate increase. So federal rate which mainly increased. So because of that, what happened? Federal rate means the US interest rate which had been increased. So because of this flight of US dollars which is mainly seen, so because of this there is increase in the demand for this US dollars and there is rupee depreciation which is mainly seen. And next one here is India's coal imports likely to drop 11% to 186 metric ton in financial year 2023. And here we are mainly moving towards renewable energy, so that we are mainly trying to decrease our electricity production from this coal. And next one is Russia is now second biggest oil vendor to India. So actually Russia had overtaken Saudi Arabia to become the India's second biggest supplier of the oil behind Iraq. Okay, so these are some important articles that appear in the today's Hindu newspaper. So I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Please subscribe to Rathod Science Academy and don't forget to enroll to this mains answer writing practice, which is one of the excellent course. Okay, so by this I'm concluding. Thank you so much.